side of the face is going to be like the don't side, and then this side of the face is going to be the do side. So anything on this side will be all like advice and like helping tips and stuff like that, and then on this side I'll do like all the things that you wouldn't really want to do in makeup and things that you would want to kind of avoid and stuff like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start off with foundation, and today on my good side I'm going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way foundation in the shade Natural Beige. As you can see here, this foundation has like a really nice yellow undertone, and the reason why I go for like a yellow undertone is because, as you can tell, my neck and stuff is more of like a yellow base, just because I do wear like a lot of fake tan. So obviously I want to make my foundation and stuff match with my neck, and normally I do go for a foundation shade which is a couple of shades darker than my actual face colour, just because I want to make sure that it's all nice and gradient and blended and stuff, and it doesn't look like I have like a really pale face compared to my neck, because I don't tan my face anyway, so that's why I like to have like a darker foundation anyway. So what I'm going to do is apply this over to this side of my face, and then I'll talk about the other side in a little second. So as you can see now, this side of my face blends really nicely in my tan. It's pretty much like the exact same colour. It has like a really nice yellow undertone which matches my fake tan. So then on this side of my face, which is the don't side, what I'm going to do is apply this foundation. And the reason why I'm applying this foundation, and the reason why that I normally wouldn't use a foundation like this, is because first of all, this is a really red undertone foundation. This is the MAC Studio Sculpt in the shade NW30, and the NW range, by the way, from MAC is the more red undertone, which obviously caters for people with a more like red kind of pinky based skin, whereas as you can tell with my big tan, I'm a more yellow colour. And again, this one is a little bit too dark as well, and I just do not like this undertone on my skin. But obviously if you have like a more pink undertone, this would suit you a lot better. But for me personally, this is something that I would never go towards, and this is like the only pink based foundation that I own, just because like all my clients and stuff would come to me, would normally like be going out or something that night and would have like a lot of fake tan and stuff on, so I would never like gravitate towards like a pinky coloured foundation. And yeah, and this one is also a little bit dark. As you can see, if I compare it to my neck, it just looks a lot more like cooler, whereas I like a more kind of warm look like this here side. So I'm going to put it on this side of my face, and then you'll be able to see the difference a lot clearer whenever I have it applied. And I actually haven't even opened this foundation before, so which actually proves that I've never even used this one. Hopefully you guys can see the difference on camera, but this side looks a little bit more like muddy and stuff on my skin, and that's because just my skin, it needs to have a yellow undertone for it to look a lot nicer. This undertone is completely wrong for my skin, but obviously if you like foundations with this undertone, go for it. But for me personally, this one does not suit me as much. Compared to this side looks a lot more blended in with my neck, whereas this side it kind of looks like I've got a little bit of sunburn or something. I don't know what it is, but it just looks really weird. I'll show you a comparison of like a swatch on my hands, so maybe you'll be able to see the difference in undertone, because here you might not really be able to see it as well, like actually on my face, but I'll do a swatch on my hand just so that you can see the difference between like a yellow and like a pinky undertone foundation. If you go into MAC and just hold up an NC foundation compared with an NW foundation, you'll soon see the difference. But hopefully you can see there, this is the one, this is the Too Faced one that I normally wear, and this is the MAC one. As you can see, the MAC one literally looks pink, and then the Too Faced one looks so yellow. Whenever you have them compared like side by side like that, they look really bad. But whenever you just have like one or the other on, they don't look as bad. But yeah, so hopefully you guys can tell that this side you would want to stay away, especially if you have more like fake tan and stuff on. But for more paler people, pinker tone foundations look okay, but especially if you have fake tan on, stay away from like the red, like pinky undertone foundation. So for my concealer, what I like to do is I like to apply like a lighter coloured concealer to highlight and also conceal my skin. And the reason why I like to do that is because I feel like whenever you have like a really nice highlight under eye and like a little bit of highlight under forehead and stuff, it just really brings out your features and just looks a lot more seamless, rather than just having like a flat face and like everything just like the same colour and stuff. But today what I'm going to do is use the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Light. This is just one that I've been loving at the moment. So what I normally do is just do like a little like amount under my eyes, and then I also take some on my chin, Cupid's bow, down the side of my nose, and then also like in the centre of my forehead. And you obviously don't want to go for a concealer which is too pale so it looks really obvious. Like you want to make sure that it looks really seamless but still really natural looking on the skin. You don't want it to be like you've got your foundation on, you can totally see your concealer, and then you can see your bronzer. You want it to make sure that it's like really smooth and like seamless and stuff. And then for the don't side, what I'm going to do is use a really pale concealer and a really thick concealer as well. And the reason why I don't really like to use like creamy, like potted concealers like this is just because they do crease quite a lot under your eyes and stuff. and I have seen people using concealers like this on a daily basis under their eyes, and I feel it just looks too heavy, and I don't know what it is, but I just feel it's very heavy and just creases, whereas this Too Faced one is very, very light in formula, whereas this one is very, very, very thick, which would be better for people that would have like blemishes and stuff, but obviously you wouldn't want to use something really as pale as this. So what I'm going to do is just take this on my finger. As you can see, it's pretty much white, and just put this right under my eyes. And as you can see straight away, look how obvious this is going to look whenever it's blended compared to this side. And again, this concealer has a more, it's kind of like a neutral undertone, doesn't really have so much of like a pink or a white undertone, but as you can see compared to the Too Faced one, the Too Faced one is a lot more yellow and blended with my foundation and stuff. So what I'm going to do is take my beauty blender and blend like this side, and then I'll show you the final result whenever it's completely blended. So now that this side is blended, you can see that it's really, really, really intense. You can really see like the paleness under my eyes, whereas in this side it looks a lot more natural and like wearable. But obviously if you like really highlighted under eyes, go for it. But for me, I just think it looks a little bit too intense. I think it's just because my foundation was a little bit dark, and obviously if you've paler skin, this concealer would totally work for you if you've obviously paler skin. But unlike on my skin tone, which isn't too dark, or an even darker skin tones, this would look literally white on your skin. By the way, it's the Makeup Studio concealer in the shade Light 2. But yeah. So now on to setting your skin and stuff like that with powders and stuff. So what I like to do is set my under eyes with a lighter tone powder, and then the rest of my skin with a darker tone powder. And the reason for that is because obviously you've applied like your lighter concealer products and stuff under your eyes, and you don't want to go in with like a darker powder and just darken that up again. So you want to keep the lightness there by applying like a lighter tone powder. So what I'm going to do is mix these two from the Kat Von D Shade and Light contour palette on this Sigma brush, and what I do is I literally just tap my brush under my eyes, and this just makes sure that your concealer is set in place for all day, and also that it doesn't darken up as well, because your concealer is like a paler colour, these powders are paler, so you're keeping like the lightness there, whereas if you were to go in with like a darker shade, you just be completely darkening it up, and then you'd end up with like a flat face again. So I just apply that like on the centre of my forehead, where I applied like pretty much is where I applied all my light concealer products. And then what you want to do is take your normal powder, which is my MAC Studio Fix in the shade NC42, and I just use this to set like my cheeks and stuff. And you want to make sure you use a powder to set your skin, because powders blend better on top of powders, because if you have like a nice powdery and smooth base, then your contour powders and stuff will blend really smoothly onto them, whereas if your foundation is really tacky, the contour powders will like drag and like pull at your skin and just look really quite muddy and stuff. Whereas if you take your powder, just like a minimal amount, you don't need a lot, I just take it on this big brush and just set it. And this powder itself is actually a powder foundation, so it's going to add a little bit of coverage here to my skin, but very little, because I'm just applying like the littlest amount. And then as I just mentioned about the kind of lighter powders and your normal powder, what I'm going to do on this side is actually just set my under eyes with my original normal face powder, and then you're going to be able to see how it darkens up this. As you can see, it looks really bright now, and as soon as I apply this powder, it'll completely darken up, and this will just be the reason why you'd always want to use like a lighter powder and stuff under your eyes. So I'm literally just going to take some of this under my brush, and as you can see, it's really darker, and as you can see, it's really pale now. And then as soon as I put my powder on it, look how dark it starts to go. It literally just looks like I've got a bruise under my eye. So imagine sitting spending so much time on your highlight and stuff, and then just using your normal powder to set it, and then it just completely darkens up again. So as you can see, my under eye area just looks completely flat now, like it doesn't have any dimension whatsoever. And then I'm just going to take my bigger brush again to set that in place. This looks so weird, like look how dark my under eyes looks now compared to this side. Like people, obviously, there is people that would make that mistake, and it's such an easy mistake which can be made, because you wouldn't really think to use like two different separate colours of powders. Like normally whenever I just started out makeup, I would have just used my same powder like all over my face, but I would never be like really precise and put it up under my eyes and stuff. But I mean, like for someone who's just started out in makeup, they probably wouldn't know to use like a lighter powder foundation or something under your eyes to make it like still bright and stuff. So it's just those wee little things that can really help to make your makeup look a lot nicer and stuff. So now for my eyebrows, what I'm going to do is fill them both in with the Illamasqua eyebrow cake. This is one of my favourite eyebrow products, and I know I do fill my eyebrows in really dark. I just don't know, I like my eyebrows to look really like intense on my face. I just feel it looks a lot nicer, and it just framed my face a little bit better. And I did recently have my eyebrows tinted, so they are a little bit darker anyway. So what I'm going to do is fill in this eyebrow, and then I'll show you how not to do your eyebrow on this side. So pretty much when I do my brows, what you want to do is you want to aim for like the ombre brow. That's the most kind of natural looking brow. You don't want to have like a really block eyebrow at the very start, because it's going to just look very unnatural. So what you want to do is you want to take your brush, and you want to start filling like literally the most lightest brush strokes you only need. Like you don't need to go really heavy handed with this. So what you want to do is you want to start like halfway across, even like a third across, just when your eyebrows start to kind of like lift up, and then you just want to draw like your baseline underneath, without even going to the start of your eyebrow. So you just want to start drawing your baseline underneath your eyebrow, and then just extending it out to the edge of where your eye ends, and that's how you know. So as you can see here, I have my baseline, and the reason why I ended my eyebrow here was because that's where the end of my eye is. Whereas if you have like obviously like a shorter eye, you would want to end it a lot there, because you don't want to bring your eyebrow too far down and then it looks too like elongated. So you want to make sure that it's in proportion with the shape of your face and the shape of your eye and stuff like that. So now that I have my baseline done, what I'm going to do is do basically the same thing on the top of my eyebrow. And then with what's ever left in the brush, what I like to do is just really use really light hand and just feather in the product to the start of my brow with a really light hand. Like you don't want to go really intense with this, because that's how you end up getting too much product at the start of your eyebrow, which you don't want. So what you're going to do is just start feathering the product just through the front of your brow. And as you can see now, the front is looking a little bit more blended. And then taking some more product, what you want to do is just fill in the rest of your eyebrow just to make sure there's no sparse areas. And then again, whatever's left in the brush, you can use that to perfect the front area. So I'm just going to just do a few little strokes through, and then again take your little spoolie and you can use this to blend as well, the colour through as well. So as you can see here, this eyebrow looks pretty much decent now. As you can see, the front of my eyebrow is a little bit more natural, and then it starts to get a little bit more intense, and that's obviously the way you want to do it, because your eyebrows naturally do grow like that. Like the front of your eyebrow is a little bit more sparse compared to like the inner and end section, so you obviously just want to enhance that rather than go ahead and make the front fuller. So what I'm going to do is show you what not to do on this side of my face. So what you don't want to do is take some product, so you just dip your brush into your product, and what you don't want to do is just go in and draw a line like that right from the start. And as you can see, my eyebrows already starting to look a lot more intense. And then again, you just don't want to go in and apply more product along the top. So as you can see here, look how intense my eyebrows looking. Like you need to be really light-handed at the very front of your brow, and then obviously you just want to fill your brow in. But again, with this one, I'm going to extend it out a little bit longer just to show you how just it shouldn't look. So what I'm going to do is just extend this a little bit lower. You do see some people with their eyebrows like that, and my eyebrow just looks a little too big for my face right now compared to this one. And then you see this one and you're like, whoa, like my eye literally looks so tiny compared to this brow. And then obviously what you want to do is just fill in your brow. You just want to keep on filling it in until there's no sparse areas. And you do see people doing their eyebrows like this, but it does take a lot of practice to get like the perfect ombre brow, and it is hard at the start, but then whenever you get the hang of it, it comes naturally. So as you can see, I filled in the start of my eyebrow, and then what I'm going to use is use a spoolie. And then you do see some people actually drawing like a line here, like finish off their eyebrow. So hopefully you guys can see the difference here compared to this side. So you've got your nice eyebrow, and then you have this side which is like, oh. Okay, so when doing your eyeshadow, I'm sure you guys already know like all of these steps already, because this is what I pretty much do in all of my videos. But when you're doing your eyeshadow, you always want to use a matte transitional colour through the crease. And the reason being for that is because your transitional colour is kind of like your like borderline on where colour should go underneath and when colour should start to like fade up into your brow. And because if you don't have like that transitional colour, you'll have like shimmer like the whole way up here, and that can look very unnatural, and just having a transitional colour makes everything look so seamless and so blended. So what I'm going to do is take this shade here called Transition from Violet Voss. This is the Holy Grail palette, by the way, and I'm just taking this on a big fluffy brush. And with this, what you want to do is literally just run it through your crease, and you don't need to be really specific with this because it is just like a light brown colour and you can pretty much do anything with it. So what you're going to do is just take this and then run it straight through your crease. So as you can see here, I have a lot more definition in my eye compared to this one, and that's just with applying one eyeshadow shade. And as I mentioned again, you always want to make sure your transitional colour is a matte colour, because you don't really want to have like shimmer like around your crease area, just because it looks a little bit more natural and doesn't look as like seamless and stuff. So what I'm going to do in this eye is show you what it actually looks like when you use a shimmery colour through your crease. So what I'm going to do is take this colour here called Rose from Anastasia Beverly Hills on just the same brush, and this is like the only colour that I have which is closest to like a nice like traditional colour that I would use, only this is a shimmery version. So what I'm going to do is just show you the difference of applying this through the crease. So if you just blend that through the crease, you can already see how like different it looks. Like this eye looks so much more natural, and then you see this eye, it's because there's so much shimmer in it and the light like literally reflects it so much. Whereas if you have a matte shade, it's just flat, and then this shade is just so like reflective and you can see every imperfection that you've made. So again, I just don't know what that is, but I would never be able to do this as an eye look. But like some people actually do shimmery looks like this. Like the editorial looks you see and stuff with like shimmer and stuff everywhere looks so cool, but on like an everyday basis you wouldn't want to use a shimmer colour through your crease. So and then what I'm just going to show you here just quickly on the eyes, because I don't want to go in like to too depth in the eyes, because I can do like a beginner like eye tutorial if you want. And what I'm going to do is just show you how to build up some colour on the outer corner just to intensify your look without applying black eyeshadow, because some people think to make your eyeshadow look really dark and smoky and intense you apply black, and to be honest you would never ever want to do that, because going from this to like a really black eye would look absolutely a mess. So you'd want to use all different shades of browns and stuff to really intensify the eye look. So what I'm going to do next of all is take this shade here called Are You Kidding Me and take it on a little fluffy brush again. And with this one you just again want to focus this more on the outer corner and just circular motions just like this, and as you can see already it started to intensify the eye look. And then also you want to have like a blending brush at hand just to continue to blend your eye look, just to make sure everything's nice and blended together. And then what you want to do now is go in with a darker shade, and I'm going to take this one here called Brownie Points, which is the more kind of medium toned brown, which again the darker the colours you want to be more careful, because then if you make a mistake it'll be harder to erase. So I'm just going to put this on the outer corner. And then finally for the most darkest colour that I'm actually going to use today, I'm going to take this one here called Teddy Bear, which is a couple of shades darker than the previous colour that we're going to use. I'm taking that on with a brush, just a very small amount, because again you don't want to go with too much, and then just apply that right on the outer corner just like that. And then again take your blending brush and just start to blend that. So as you can see here, this eye look looks so blended, and you can see all the different kind of colours just blending really nicely into one another, and can't see any harsh lines or anything, just looks really smoky. So what I'm going to do in this eye is just show you how crazy messy it can get if you just go straight in with black eyeshadow. Okay, so I have some black eyeshadow under my brush here, and this is just from the Kat Von D Shade and Light eye palette, and what I'm going to do is just start to buff this through my outer corner. And then just take your blending brush and just sort of try and blend these colours together. So as you can see, because we've only used 2 eyeshadow shades, you can really see the harshness here, and it looks a complete mess compared to this eye. As you can see, it looks so much more seamless in this eye, and then this eye just looks like really crazy. And then also you've got like the black underneath, because black is just a nightmare to work with. And again with the shimmery colour you can really see how like muddy or something it looks like through the crease and stuff, compared to this eye where it looks really seamless. And then for under the eye, what I like to do is go back in with my transition colour again and just really start to blend that underneath my eye, because what I like to do on the top of my eyelid, I also like to kind of like recreate that on the bottom, just again to make it look very seamless and gradient and stuff. So I like to take my transitional colour, and then I'm just going to go in with the darker colour called Brownie Points again, and just apply this onto the outer edge of my eye. And as you can see now, we have like a nice little like smoky eye with only using like 3-4 different eyeshadow colours, all matte, and it is quite easy to recreate. So imagine what it would look like with going back in with some black eyeshadow underneath the eye. This is where it's going to look really weird. So what I'm going to do is just take some more black eyeshadow onto my brush and just start to blend that underneath my eye. So now I'm starting to look like a panda. And then take a little bit of a blending brush just to blend that out a wee bit. Okay, so now for liquid liner, and I feel like liquid liner is one of them ones where no one is ever going to get perfect eyeliner. Like no matter how experienced you are, you can obviously do your eyeliner really well, but there's always going to be times where you're going to have little mistakes and you're going to screw it up a bit, because liquid eyeliner is just so precise, and because it's such a nightmare product and because it's so wet and stuff, it's really hard to get something so perfect like 24/7. But I feel like for this one, everyone makes mistakes and it's completely understandable. So for me, what I like to do is just do like a thin line on the top and do like a slight kind of wing. I don't feel like really thick winged eyeliner suits my eyes because they're quite small, but what I'm going to do is just show you how I would normally do my eyeliner on one eye, and then I'll show you how I wouldn't do it on the other side. That's pretty much how I would do my eyeliner. I just do it quite simple, like I don't do anything like extravagant, but sometimes I don't even wear liquid eyeliner. But what I'm going to do is show you on this eye how easy it is to make your eyeliner really thick. So say you were started off with like a really thin line, so you start by doing your wing, and then say you were bringing it over but you made the line like too thick. Like okay, so say you made the line too thick, but then you're like, right, we can sort of make this work. So you're sort of bringing it across and then filling it in, and then you have a little mistake here, so you want to connect it up to the thicker line, and then you want to obviously bring it into the inner corner. So already we have like a really thick eyeline, and then To connect it to the outer corner, you're going to need to bring it across and then fill it in. And then to make the outer like wing really precise, what we're going to do is bring out the liner. And then as you can see, I've made a little mistake here, so I'm going to make it a little bit more thicker. And then what I'm going to do is just start to fill it in and just make it as black as I can. So as you can see how easy it is to make your eyeliner really thick. And some people's totally suit like really dark eyeliner, but for me, I don't know, it just really encloses my eyes compared to this side. My eye looks a lot more fresh and stuff, and this side just looks like whoa. So what I'm going to do is quickly move on to my face and stuff, because I don't want to show you anything to do anymore to do with the eyes, because this video is going to be so long. So what I'm going to do is quickly move on to the face and show you little errors and mistakes that you can make when doing your face products too. So what I'm going to do is take this here to bronze and contour my skin. Recently I've just been bronzing and contouring with the same product. Sometimes I use a different contour colour and sometimes I would use a different bronzer, but at the moment I've just been using this, and this is the Jouer bronzer in the shade Suntan. I just take some under my brush and just start to bronze up my skin just with a really light hand. Just go around my hairline, along my cheek and stuff like that, my jaw, and then just back around my hairline again. So as you can see, by doing that, it's just giving my skin a little bit of warmth. And when you're bronzing up your skin, you don't want to go for a product that's filled too much with shimmer, because then your face can start to look a little bit less natural and stuff. And especially if you're applying like highlighting products, that's where you can apply like shimmer to your face, because you don't want to go really overboard with your bronzer with shimmer in it and stuff. However, this bronzer that I just used, the GA one, has a little bit of sparkle in it. By the time you actually put it on your face and stuff, you can barely even see it. So what I'm going to do is show you what it would look like with a really shimmery bronzer. So this is actually a highlighting powder from Boy Brown. It's in the shade beige. It's one of their like shimmer brick compact. And I'm going to take it more kind of with these shades here, and then you'll soon be able to see how crazy this was going to look. So as you can see, this side is just nice and flawless, and then this side is just like whoa. It actually looks really muddy on my skin. Even though it looks really like radiant and stuff, it just doesn't look right, because now whenever I go and apply my highlighting powder, it'll just look like I have highlighter all over my skin, whereas whenever I apply my highlighting powder on this side, it'll look really seamless, blended in with like the bronzer and stuff like that. So for my blush, I normally use like a corally, orangey, peachy colour, just because I feel like pink blushes, certain pink blushes are really nice, but some pink blushes can look really intense. And I literally just take the tiniest amount of blush, because I'm not really a huge fan of blushers, so I just apply like the lightest amount just to my cheeks, just to add a little bit of colour. And then of course for the don't side, you don't want to go for a blush colour that you know is just going to look so intense on your skin, and especially if you're not like comfortable with using makeup yet and like know how to apply blush properly and stuff. A colour like this would completely be crazy. But obviously if you apply this with a really light hand, it looks amazing. But imagine taking it on like a brush and being like, oh, I just got my new blush, I'm just going to apply some under my brush and then just put it under my cheeks, and then you're like, ooh. So that's what I mean, like you don't want to gravitate towards colours like this if you don't really know what you're doing, because you could end up looking like this. And then for highlight, what I'm going to do is use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Starlight powder and just lightly put this along the tops of my cheeks. And I sometimes put it down my nose, Cupid's bow, a wee bit of my chin, a wee bit of my forehead, just to add a little bit of radiance to my skin. As you can see, it's just really natural looking, but still adds a little bit more like glow and stuff. And again, with this product, you can go totally overboard, so I'll just show you what it looks like if you go overboard with this product. As you can see, you can go overboard with the highlight. So for my lips, I'm going to show you how I would normally line my lips. I do overline my lips, and there's nothing wrong with overlining your lips, but I mean, you can overline them to a certain extent, and then past a certain mark on your lips, you can start to tell that it's really obvious. Some people can really get away with overlining their lips loads, but for me, I feel like if I do it a little bit too much, it is really noticeable. So what I'm going to do is just show you how I would normally overline my lips. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on this side how weird it looks if I really overline my lips. I'm just going to use a darker lip liner just to show you the difference. I literally have nothing to say right now. So hopefully you guys can see the difference. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and it's something different, and I look like a complete utter like crazy woman right now, but I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want me to do more videos like this, and if you want me to do like beginner like smoky eyes and just run through like all the basics and stuff to do with that, and like really good products for beginners. And yeah, so give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'm really sorry if this video has ended up being like 40 minutes long, but I'm really sorry. So I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!